right, without further ado, we're back for another. Actually, can you hit the light for us? I think that's what we do first.
I already hit it
I'm tripping.
by accident.
And I'm
So,
tripping because I really was asking you to hit the light. So, as you can see, this is a late night,
oh,
an
I
original
thought it
late
was a
night.
joke.
And I was actually serious.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Welcome back to an original late night podcast.
Hey, everybody.
And,
I love saying hey
why?
to y'all because it's cool. Like,
Welcome back to the podcast that we don't really have an introduction that we can quite master as of yet. But yeah,
because it's original.
that's true. So
So, it might be, yeah.
everyone got to be different but the same. So if that makes sense. But yeah, hopefully everybody is doing good tonight. And if you're hearing this during the daytime, hopefully you're doing good today. And we definitely are. If I would speak for us, as you hear, we're laughing,
You know when
smiling.
you're so tired, everything is funny.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do know from experience and doing this podcast right now with you.
My cheeks literally hurt. That's how hard I'm smiling.
But that's good though. It's nothing. There's nothing bad about that. Um, but yeah. So
How are you doing? Yes, I beat you.
you didn't beat me. I tried to, because you always say I beat you. So I tried to let you win. I'm doing good. Thankful, blessed. Um, Looking forward to just continuing the new year as we've started off. At least in America, because I know there's different New Years around the world, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for another year, another day, another January. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to just new mercies, new blessings this year.
I like that.
Yeah, so just had a little Bible study, so I think I'm still on
Full.
that. Huh?
Full.
You gonna? I'm still on that vibe of just really realizing and remembering, you know what I mean, just how good God is. But yeah, I mean, while we were actually having Bible study, I was actually thinking about that because I kept thinking about food, and I was like, nah, the word feeds us. And I kept telling myself, I was like, I'm gonna wait till the end to get some more food, but
Yeah.
I really was full like by the end of it, and then I did get, I had like a peanut butter and jelly after, so yeah. It's not struggle food either. I actually like peanut butter and jelly. so you think what you want, but nah, I actually enjoyed it. It was a gourmet peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, I know that's right.
But anyway, nah, but how are you? Thank you for asking.
Um,
Even though that's part of our segment, I think too. But yeah.
yeah, it is. I'm doing good. I was actually felt like I was up not too long ago. And right before we did this, I just feel like falling right to sleep.
Well, we didn't do it yet, so
And
don't fall
yeah,
asleep.
I'm holding on. I think the laughs will keep me up. Um, but yeah, nonetheless, I'm good, blessed. Always happy to do this. I think literally, um, thinking about doing it I was just thinking about having grit and keeping going because I don't know, I guess there is really like a lot of truth to continuing. So and part of it I think is not only having a grit, but it does actually have to be something that you do for real. Cause like how else would you be able to sustain or like keep going? So I was kind of having that thought
Yeah.
right before we did this, and even though like I gotta get out of the bed.
Yeah.
Due to the nature maybe of the timing, I might want to stay in bed, but I'm happy. Like as soon as we get in a seat, I'm just like immediately reminded, like, okay, yeah, like I want to be here, and I wanna keep it going. So I'm good. I'm thankful, blessed for the opportunity to speak with the listeners, invite them in on the conversations that we have, and hopefully they can get something from it every single time. So
Yeah. Yeah. Grit, like you said, that was your word last week. You brought to the episode, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was tenacity.
yeah, it was
Well, we
tenacity.
talked about grit, and I mean, I think they're one and the same. But maybe we'll have a prize for you listeners if somebody goes back to the podcast, the last week's podcast, episode 28, I believe,
Mhm.
and you find the word grit in there. We'll have a prize for you. But yeah, continue. Don't quit. Shout out to Nipsey and keep going. Shout out to Bo King. That's all I would say. But seriously, I mean, I think those are ingredients and elements to life that like we can't take for granted because obviously we get up every day that we're blessed and fortunate to be awakened for the Lord to wake us up and have an opportunity to do what it is that we do or do what it is that's on our heart to do. But there are things that we've obviously maybe wanted to do or been attempting or trying to do that over time, I mean, it can become tough to sustain or continue to grow in or get better at, even or even to accomplish it all, depending on what it is. But yeah, I mean, there has to be a fight, like you just used the word grit that we have, and I believe there's a reward in that in and of itself. Like it's not just the accomplishment.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I mean, literally, at the end of the day, I believe that is the accomplishment. If you got up and fought again to do what it is that you're here to do, like I believe that is the reward.
Yeah.
But obviously, sometimes we're looking so far down, the path or the road, or and that's good because it means we have vision. But like, so I would say keep looking forward. But at the end of the day, like, know that if you can do it that day, like, and you could just keep putting those days together, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it'll allow us to go further. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's a great segue into the first question we have for today: is believing enough? And I feel like that question resonates even with just how we wake up each day. Like clearly, every person has an element of belief in them. And I was thinking this earlier. Like I said, we had Bible study earlier too. So it was somewhere in between the end of Bible study and us doing this podcast. But for people to get up and have any sort of purpose or any, I would even say, desire to do something with their day means that they believe in some way, shape, or form. Because otherwise, why would you get up and do anything
Yes.
other than the fact that the Lord woke you up? But why would you now be awakened, and now get up and do something?
Mhm.
But anyway, is
Is it
believing enough?
enough? um, it has to be, in my opinion. I feel like I don't know. I've been literally getting up like every single day and kind of just thinking to myself about belief and really just actually more so like speaking over myself
Mm-hmm.
to like as far as whatever it is I might be feeling, like truly assessing like how do I get out of this state of feeling this way. And you know when we really think about it, I mean, belief is like the driving force to what it is we are thinking and then showing up in the things that we say and it affecting how we feel even.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel like because, and I guess we take it for granted too, because it is something that if we don't check it or if we don't have a conversation with it, with ourselves about it, it's just like this innate automatic thing, and we're not really aware of like where we picked up a belief about something or how we're believing something to be true or not. And as a result, again, we are like end up carrying ourselves a certain way till we get to a point or a place where we don't even know how or why we feel the way that we do. But as soon as we make that like cognitive shift and we adjust our beliefs towards something like positive
Mm-hmm.
and something reassuring, something with a more solid foundation, something even that helps us to feel more fulfilled and that is adding value, to our lives, is that's when I feel like we're able to realize the power of belief. Like it really is something that is in our hearts and our minds. And like I said, I think it really is a driving force, but we just don't realize it all the time.
Yeah, it's a great answer. It's a packed answer. But yeah, I mean, I would say, in a nutshell, I agree with what you're saying. I think, I mean, that's interesting that you said you've been waking up just thinking about belief because, I mean, for the listeners, I mean, it's not like we didn't previously. Sometimes, we might have a conversation that I guess you could say spills over into this or we bring to this, you know, podcast platform, but essentially we didn't talk about this before, so I didn't know you've been thinking that, but I don't know, it kind of just hit me like earlier. I'm just kind of thinking like how we're able to get to one place to the next. And then I even just thought about literally like how we wake up, how everybody wakes up, no matter what they quote unquote believe in or what, a person's faith is literally in,
Yeah.
or how much or how little faith one might have. It's like everybody who's blessed to see another day, fortunate to see another day, like chooses to do something with their time, even if they choose to do nothing.
Yeah.
To the extent that I feel like you said, like believing has to be enough because essentially we all do it. We all experience it. We all have it, even if we choose to use that in one form or another.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like literally it wouldn't even be a doing nothing. Like there would be no need for us to even see the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, I don't want to take it too far too soon, but that's literally like what, belief is like an amazing thing. I feel like if you really try to understand it, in a moment's time, it's like really, it's very deep and rich and
Yeah. Yeah. I like
can throw you for a loop.
I like that you said, in different forms, because I mean, honestly, I don't know what we think belief is
Yeah.
because it shows up in all these different ways, like I said, and like you said. It can show up in the conversations with people. It can show up in how you feel, even, and maybe you didn't even say anything, but like you're feeling away, and it's like that's being born out of what you're absorbing or like what you're thinking. And where I think we go so far as to like we've internalized it, and that's how we should know we even believe in that thing, like good or bad, is when we've internalized it. And once it's internalized, like that should be our indicator of like assessing if our belief is again something that's adding value to our life, our purpose, in the direction we should be going in, or it's something that we're allowing to like tear us down and bring us to a place of just, darkness even, or
Yeah.
depression or anxiety or worry, fear, all those things.
I would even say, if we even word it this way, like, or our lack of belief, something that we all have access to, and like we all have, I feel like that ability built in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But if we lack, I guess, just having or choosing to have a connection with that within ourselves, like, then that, I mean, basically what you're saying, but it's like, then that's where we see the negative effects. But it's like, clearly we're all tapped into it in some way, shape, or form, because I feel like if you see another day,
Yeah.
that in and of itself proves a level of belief. That's just
Mm-hmm.
what my thoughts, took me earlier. So I don't know, but but yeah, I don't know what you guys think. Is it enough to believe? I guess I'll just give a short answer. I mean, I would say I think so, because if you truly believe in something, I mean, it would have to eventually, if not essentially, order your steps. You know, like,
Yes.
because if you truly believing in it, whatever it is, then you would have to walk that. You know what I mean? You'd have to walk that out. You'd have to go down that path literally. Otherwise, you don't truly believe it. You know?
I mean, yeah, no, yeah, 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 no, yeah, yeah. But I do want to stress that, like, belief in and of itself being like this neutral thing, and it is what we kind of like make it, because you can believe in, again, something that maybe is not even aligned with your most authentic self or your vision or your purpose, and like you said, now you're going down that path
Yeah.
because of those things that you believe in. And again, maybe you haven't even really sat with them, and sometimes it's not always on purpose. It could be just because of society or like how we grew up. But if we don't take the time to assess those beliefs even,
Yeah.
I guess all I'm saying is just that it's important that we do that,
Yeah.
so that our belief, what we have found to be true and real, is the direction that we're going in,
Yeah.
and that's right for us.
Yeah. 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 I mean, basically, yeah. Just having discernment,
Yeah.
like, and being patient with just even understanding how great our capacity is to do something and to choose something and to,
Mm-hmm.
because if not, I mean, yeah, you can be misled easily
Yeah.
and destructively, you know, to
Yeah.
yourself or others. But so with that, I would say let's talk about work ethic, because the thought about belief, or is believing enough, that kind of, it's almost like, is it enough to get somewhere? Is it enough to, like, I guess you could say, have what you want to have, or, to see what it is that you want to see? You know what I mean? But as far as the work ethic is concerned, um, I don't know, like, where does work ethic fall, I guess, in the midst of just, is believing enough, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
at this late hour?
I think work ethic is very important, and I think that work ethic is an element of your belief. It's another facet to your belief. Believing is absolutely enough, because I feel like it does drive our actions. So it's just our work ethic. It's kind of like the byproduct of what we believe in. It's like our navigator on the decisions we make or the actions that we take to do things. So I think one of our podcasts we kind of like talked about consistency and what that looks like. And saying that to say, we also watched a show recently, and the person said a quote. Well, it wasn't really a quote, he was just talking. But he said something about, we're not just moving forward, we're moving upward.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that, because I think that is kind of like where I think belief and work ethic can go hand in hand
Mm-hmm.
because you could have your work ethic, but you would just be kind of going forward,
Mm-hmm.
and that can look like just a consistency element. Like, okay, we're just cruising along, like we're going, but we're kind of just cruising. Where it's like with the belief element, I mean, with the work ethic elements and the belief attached, we're not just going forward, we are going upward. And I think both of them are needed to essentially see the manifestation of
Yeah.
even what you're believing. Because
I agree. I mean, not to take over your, interpretation and what that means to what you got from it, but I would even say, I mean, it's an illustration, essentially. I mean, we could say growing spiritually is moving forward. You know what I mean? Climbing a ladder, like people use that term as far as like career wise, that would be going upward. You know what I mean? But essentially, what we're saying, I feel like, is like you just said, that work ethic is another facet. But obviously, without truly believing, I mean, if you possess any form of work ethic, I feel like it would become, whether it's monotonous, it could become monotonous, or whether it's, meaningless even.
Yeah.
And it just becomes something that you just do, or you only do it for, whatever purpose, whether it's money, whether it's just to get the volunteer hours, or
you might lose that grit.
or to look cool, you know what I mean? Or you can't be turning my answers into jokes. Whatever the purpose is, because then my answer gonna lose purpose.
It won't.
Unless it's actually funny.
Wow.
I'm just playing with you. But yeah, I mean, essentially, you could lose grit, or that grit just, even what's the purpose of the grit? You know what I mean? Like, you just waking up to grind for the sake of grinding, It doesn't have the same meaning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
you don't have
good.
the same potential, maybe, to have the impact on somebody that you could have through it being meaningful and purposeful. But yeah, I mean, so anyway, with that said, if we had to gauge or assess our own output, or our own ability to get the job done, how would we judge that? Like, you and me. But if we're speaking for the people too,
repeat that for us.
like if we had to judge or gauge, I would say, our output, our own output, or our own ability to get the job done. We're talking about work ethic here. How would we, go about assessing that?
Cool.
We talk about self-assessing often, but like, what are some things that, we might be able to, and I can kind of go first. I'm asking the question, but like I would say, bottom line, if I'm not doing what I said I was gonna do, that's a pretty simple one.
Yeah.
And it's pretty broad, but I feel like it is something that I know I struggle with, and I say struggle, but I think it's just having a certain standard for yourself. You can never truly fulfill what it is, unless you start setting more practical, more simple, goals. But if you're trying to do humongous things and you're thinking that's just gonna happen in a year, a week, a day, you're never gonna. I'm not gonna say never, but it's not likely that you'll be able to do all those things in a short amount of time. It's not. I don't even know if it's worth it, because what are you learning? There's no process. There's no learning curve. But I say that to say, but I still know that there's some simple things sometimes where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do this tomorrow, and then it takes me 2 days instead of 1 day. But whatever the case, but I know that's one thing where it's like, all right, I can get better, not just even in that area of doing what I say, but even if it's just the area that specifically I keep putting off, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So for me, let's say it's a bedtime. But hey, if we got to do a late night podcast, then I might sacrifice and stay up. But then I use the same reason for other stuff. Like, all right, I got to stay up and do this. I got to stay up and,
Yeah. I don't know if I really have like a concrete answer, but what I am thinking about is, for one, I am like the queen of when people ask me how like things are going,
Mm-hmm.
I like to say and just taking it day by day. And I actually read a scripture today that kind of gave me more meaning
Mm-hmm.
to it of just that phrase of taking it day by day, because there's, first of all, there's things to do every single day.
Yeah.
And the last thing we want to do is feel like we didn't accomplish everything
Yeah.
just because we had a lot of things on our list and we feel like we didn't get to them. I feel like that's not fair to ourselves, and we shouldn't do that. I mean, we should definitely aim to do the things that we're supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
for that day. But the scripture I read, I would have to go back and get it. But basically, the scripture talks about,
That's all we
um,
need. Just a summary.
it just talks about tomorrow, like just focus on today.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow has its own troubles. And to me, that brings more meaning to taking things day by day. Because one, it allows you to slow down and, like, whatever it is you are focus on doing for that day, just make sure you do that. And I think by taking your time with doing that, once you get finished, then just go ahead and move on to the next thing.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that ties perfectly into is believing enough? Our initial question of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Once we asked each other how we are doing, because I feel like believing, being enough. It's like you wake up that day. If you truly believe, like you'll know that tomorrow will be there and it's taken care of.
Yeah.
You know that yesterday can't necessarily change, but at the same time you can build on it. You can,
Mm-hmm.
even if it wasn't the perfect day, it could have been a bad day. You can learn from it, and just saying that to say, so it allows you to better be present more so in the day, and not
Yeah.
just in being present in the moment. Not saying anything is wrong with that, like that statement, but I literally mean, like, for the sake of believing and belief and having, you know what I mean, with that,
Yeah.
like just truly operating in that, and now you can walk in what that means for today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's good because, again, like I said, I don't necessarily have a concrete answer, but I do think that the assessing part is maybe maybe it is more just about assessing our heart posture and how we're going about it. Like, if we're still worried by the end of the day, maybe we didn't accomplish all that we're supposed to. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't position ourselves to be at peace with what was accomplished for the day.
Yeah.
And maybe if we didn't do that, then that could be a good indicator of we can look at the areas in which we procrastinated or we wasted our time,
Yeah.
or that we weren't even moving fast enough on a task. I think all those variables, can all have their place for sure, but when we're talking about literally the day and, like, I don't think you said progression in the question, but just kind of assessing our work ethic, so to speak. I think those are good indicators.
I
Mm.
mean, I feel like you definitely you know have something there. I mean, I feel like if you're able to, the more you're able to focus on the task at hand, which is like quote unquote winning the day, you know what I mean? I feel like you'll better accomplish whatever those things are you're aiming to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not necessarily the long list, but even if you had a super long list, to be able to identify the things that are most important to do and doing those things,
Yeah.
and still being able to walk away like, did I finish my whole list? No, but did I do, like you just said, like, whether or not you did what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know we only have 24 hours. We
Mm-hmm.
have to sleep, eat. You know what I mean? We can fast, but you're gonna be moving slower. You could be full off the word, but you still need time to do what you got to do. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying all that to say, I feel like that is something.
Yeah.
I think that's something concrete for you. I mean, again, I was saying I was posing a question to see what we had to say. How would we assess our own, you know, just ability to get the job done in a day, or our work ethic in general? But, I think that even applies to just what we both said. I feel like it applies to everybody, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's funny because maybe for a simple task, sure, like, did you eat dinner today or something? But if we're taking it a little bit further, like vision and purpose talk, I mean, like, the job is not finished. So we need to be at peace with the day to day and getting closer, to the vision every single day. And that's where our day we can feel accomplished. We don't have to beat ourselves up. We don't have to feel shameful about not finishing a task or anything like that.
So that's good. So with that, there are some ways, if you have any,
Mm-hmm.
to improve one's work ethic, or do we just do more, quote unquote, do more? Like, and you kind of just spoke to that, but like, what are some maybe practical ways that we can, I guess, just even consider for ourselves as we think about, how we might not necessarily struggle, but, might use that term loosely to refer to something that we can get better at and we know we can get better at, and we're kind of dragging our feet in that area. But, like, what are some ways we can improve?
I think one way we can improve our work ethic is to focus on the task at hand, because having a good work ethic doesn't have to mean do 1,000 more things. I think a good work ethic,
That's good.
we want our work ethic to be quality.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to just again be doing all of these things just to say or just to brag about how busy we are. Or
We want
just
our work to be quality,
yeah,
our work ethic too. But
exactly.
yeah,
So I think if we learn to focus on the task at hand, no matter how long the task is, like, it might be a task that where we have to get on the phone and you call that 800 number, you might anticipate being on the phone for like 30 minutes to an hour, because sometimes it just is what it is. But just focus on that, get that out of the way, and then move on to the next thing. I think just again moving just with more peace concerning each task, I think, is good. So what I say,
so focus
yeah,
basically.
yeah, focus.
Focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
Um, I would say another one might be, some ways to improve. I mean, I would say maybe be creative. I was kind of thinking about that. I just wanted to make sure that was what I wanted to go with. But I think allowing ourselves to be creative, you know, I mean, like they like to say, whoever they are that say it, we're creatures of habit. Human beings are creatures of habit.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes those habits do become monotonous. It doesn't mean that we're not intending to move with purpose, but in this, I guess you could say, mundane or whatever way of doing things, because we've developed these habits, I think that's where laziness can creep in, or even just being tired, like something that we're doing, making us feel more tired than we even are. Because
Yeah.
it's like, I already know what to expect from this. There's nothing exciting about it or whatever. But I feel like being creative, for example, changing the scenery. Like if you have the ability to go study or go do your work in a different setting or scene, or
Yeah, that's good.
if you I mean, literally, you could be in your house, put your chair in a different position, put your feet up, you know, or play a different type of music than you typically would play if you're, maybe cleaning up or something like that, or whatever the case, like, but finding ways to, I would say, do things in a way that it'll help you to enjoy that process more. And
Yeah.
everything can't be that, but it could literally be just, like let's say you have to go run an errand, you have to go to the bank. That might be something that people run to do if you have to get some money. If you're going to get money, because who doesn't want to go get some money so they can
Yeah.
But if you know you're going to get money for the sake of bills, you might put it off. But then it's like now you got late fees or now you have
Yeah.
whatever. But my point is to say, like, let's say you attach, all right, I'm gonna go to the bank and then I'm gonna, stop by the store and get my favorite snack.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever creative ways. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but for some people it's something that simple, but for other people it does need to be like a big change. You might need to start looking up, other cities. We have access to the internet now. Like, go look at some videos, some pictures, get on YouTube, whatever, and see maybe if you should move. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, whatever the case. But I would say being creative is another way to impact or affect your work ethic in a way that might allow you to kind of break up the monotony that might cause
Well, I like that
superficial
because it keeps
laziness
keeps you
and tiredness.
inspired and passionate
Yeah.
about it as well.
Especially for somebody that might need that. Some people might not need it, but
Yeah.
you know, there's another one.
So another one. Hmm. I feel like, I would say slowing down. I feel
Mm.
like that's kind of hand in hand with focusing on the task at hand.
I feel like we can split a hair. It could sound the same, but
But I feel like, to just slow down, we don't have to feel like we have to rush, especially if we do know that there are things that we might have multiple things that day that needs to be knocked out. Some of it might even be time consuming, but I just mean like the way in which we approach it.
I mean, I would even say forget multiple things. One thing, if you are willing to spend more time with that thing, you already spoke about quality of work.
Yeah.
That's how you get the quality out of it. It doesn't mean you have to take forever, but
Mm-hmm.
in slowing down, you'll be able to, I feel like, give it more of your attention. You'll be able to focus. Like, slowing down is a necessary component to focus.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're one and the same. I think somebody can be focused and they can still rush,
Yeah.
and they can get the job done. But is it the best job? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then even over time, with what you're saying, like with slowing down, I feel like if that becomes built into your work ethic, I feel like now your approach, that will probably affect your schedule. That'll probably affect, just the way you spend your time in general, because you're not trying to rush to do everything. So now even what your daily list of to do, tasks, whatever looks like, probably would change the way you approach even doing that, because you've now slowed down. You're not trying to fit everything in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it might take
Yeah.
some time to see the change with that, but I feel like slowing down would. So even though it's fewer things on the list, you're accomplishing more now because you're giving yourself more time to do things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
that's good. I actually have one more thing to
No,
add.
you're good.
I think I to all of that you're saying in the list that we just gave, I think identifying areas of improvement are good to do. Like write those things down
Mm-hmm.
to improve the work ethic because you might be a person that maybe can work a little bit faster.
Yeah.
You might be the person who needs to slow down. Um, Maybe you realize you do procrastinate, or maybe you do put too much on your plate. So as a result, maybe mentally or emotionally, you're not as effective as you could be.
Or maybe you are bored and you don't need a change of scenery per se, but you need a change of work
Yeah.
so that your work
Mm-hmm.
ethic can actually rise to the occasion of what it is you're working at or
Yeah,
working towards.
exactly. The
But
creativity piece. So, yeah, I would say identifying just the
I hear you.
creativity. Yeah. But yeah, I would say identify areas of improvement.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, which is why I kind of asked. I was trying to see what we thought about ourselves, but it does take more than. Sometimes you can't just think of it off the top of your head. You really gotta go down the list of, like you said, identifying those things that you want to do differently or that you're not maybe doing that you would like to do, and I feel like even spending time with each of them to write details out, like
Yeah.
I can't just sit here and be like, yeah, I need to do this, that, that. Like, I mean, I could give you some things, but you know, if for those especially who haven't sat down to do that, like it's necessary,
Yeah.
you know. But I think we all, I mean, we spend time with ourselves. We just try to avoid hard work sometimes.
Well, if I'm going to give one area that I am working on
Mm-hmm.
that we gave is
You said if?
no,
Oh,
that we gave. Um I want to share with the listeners the
that's fine.
area that I'm working on. And that's slowing down. I think that's going to help me a lot. Cause I got my whole to-do list. I know everything that needs to be done. But if I could slow down, I think I'd be more effective in my emotions, in my decision making, and just overall how I feel about the work that I'm doing.
That's good. I feel like you've already, I'm not gonna say mastered, but you already apply the speed of slowing down. I feel like, but how and where you apply that, I feel like is the key. Like you just said, so
Mm-hmm.
you just name specific areas because I feel like you already do that, but now doing it like more intentionally, right?
Yes.
I'm just making sure I'm, you know, because even with the listeners, like we said, focus. So now somebody's walking around like, yeah, I need to focus, but it's like it doesn't mean focus on everything, and it doesn't mean, you know, I don't know. It doesn't mean that one thing might not need more focus than another. It just it's how you apply these things and in what space, you
Yeah.
know, because you might already be super focused in some area in some way, but the key is we're talking about work ethic here. So you know how you can apply focus, creativity, slowing down, etc. to your work ethic is really, you know, if you can identify those areas, then I feel like you'll be on the path to greatness.
Yeah.
On the path to bed because you have worked hard that day. But yeah, that's good. And I think mine, I think I kind of already said, but doing what I say or I said I was going to do, you
Yeah.
know, not just in general, but especially as it pertains to like things that I know I need to get done or something that I know is going to improve or make my life easier. So improve my, I would say improve an area of my life or make my life easier, meaning like, again, if I said, you know, I want to start going to bed at such and such time,
Yeah.
if I know why I'm doing that, if it's because I need more sleep because I started to do whatever exercises and my body is telling me. So for this next however long, I'm going to do that until my body adjusts.
Yeah.
Or it could be, you know, because I know I want to start getting up at this time in the morning so I can, you know, give God that time or
Yeah.
that much more time. You know, just examples, but literal examples like what of why there's different reasons I can apply that thing too. But
Mm.
yeah, um, so find yours, listeners.
Yeah, drop it down in the comments if you bold. No, seriously, we would love to see what you guys are working on yourselves. But nonetheless, hopefully we gave y'all something to take away with. And I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up right here. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, we're thankful, and we're already excited to see you next week. See you back. So keep coming back and bring a friend. Tell a friend to bring a friend. So
Yeah.
like, comment, subscribe, and have a blessed night.
Good night.
Peace.